So picture this. You are standing by the snack table at a party. You've memorized the past participle of literally every irregular verb in the English language.
Oh, wow, all of them.
All of them. You know your prepositions perfectly. You've completely mastered the conditional tense. But then a stranger walks right up to you, smiles, says, "How's it going?" And your mind just goes completely blank.
Right, totally blank.
You are completely frozen. You're just standing there sweating, trying to figure out how to respond without sounding like some sort of malfunctioning robot. Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah, I mean, it is the absolute definition of social paralysis. We see it all the time, especially with language learners who are incredibly proficient on paper, but then they just hit a brick wall in actual social settings.
Exactly. And that is exactly why we are looking at the stack of sources you sent over today. We're focusing on this highly practical guide. It's titled English for Daily Life, Socializing and Etiquette. And our mission today is to basically decode what I like to call the social survival skills of the English language.
I like that. Social survival skills.
Right, because having perfect grammar is essentially useless if you just freeze up the moment someone says hello to you at a gathering.
Huh.
So our goal today is to give you, the listener, especially if you're an intermediate English learner, looking to really level up the exact phrases, the cultural cheat codes, and, the confidence you need to sound natural and make a truly great impression.
Because, well, language isn't just a vehicle for exchanging raw data. It's not a math equation. It is primarily about building relationships. It's about human connection. And today, we are exploring the specific practical tools you need to build those connections smoothly in English-speaking cultures.
Yeah, the best analogy for this, I think, is baking. Learning English grammar without learning social etiquette is like having all the most expensive, high-quality ingredients to bake a cake. You have the flour, the eggs, the sugar, the butter.
But no recipe.
Exactly. You have absolutely no recipe.
You just have all these pieces sitting on the counter, like the vocabulary is there. But if you just, I don't know, throw raw eggs and dry flour at your guests, they aren't going to have a good time.
No, they're going to leave your party immediately.
Right. You need the social English to put those ingredients together smoothly so you actually end up with a beautiful cake rather than a total kitchen disaster.
So true. So to follow that baking analogy, before you can serve that beautiful cake or, build a deep, meaningful friendship, you have to actually survive the very first interaction. You have to walk through the front door of the conversation.
And according to our source, that starts with small talk.
Right, which the guide defines as light, informal conversation about unimportant things.
The key word there is definitely unimportant. You aren't debating the meaning of life right by the chips and dip. You are just trying to get the conversational engine started.
Just a little spark.
Yeah. And the text gives us some classic opening lines like, "How's it going?" Which is just a very casual, relaxed way to say, "How are you?" Or if you are at a gathering, you could say, "How do you know the host?"
That's a good one.
It's an easy connection.
Right. And then, to keep things moving, the guide suggests you use phrases like, "That's interesting, tell me more." Or, "What about you?"
Notice how those follow-up phrases immediately bounce the attention right back to the other person, like, "Tell me more, what about you?" It's basically a game of verbal tennis.
That's a great way to put it.
You hit the ball over the net and you immediately prepare for them to hit it back. You don't just hold on to the ball. But here's where I have to push back a little on English-speaking culture. The guide specifically points out that the absolute most common icebreaker is, and I quote, "Nice weather we're having, isn't it?"
Ah, yes, the classic rather opening. It is the ultimate universal lifeline when absolute panic sets in and your mind goes blank. But why? Why are English speakers so completely obsessed with the weather? Do people really care about meteorology that much? I mean, is everyone just secretly tracking cloud formations in their spare time?
Well, no. I mean, asking about the weather isn't actually about the weather at all.
It's not.
Not really. If we connect this to the bigger picture of human psychology, talking about the weather is actually about establishing a safe, shared reality.
Oh, interesting.
Think about it. When you meet a stranger, you don't know their politics, you don't know their religion, you don't know if they are having a terrible day at work and are about to snap.
Right, they're a total mystery.
But you both exist under the exact same sky.
It's literally the only thing you can guarantee you have in common in that exact second.
Exactly. It's a completely low-stakes way to test the waters. By agreeing that it is indeed raining or it is indeed very sunny out, you are subtly signaling to the other person, "Hey, I am friendly, I am safe to talk to, and we agree on basic reality."
Wow. Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and once you establish that baseline through the weather, you can safely move on to bigger, more interesting topics like hobbies, asking things like, what do you do for fun?
So you aren't checking the forecast, you're just checking their vibe.
You're entirely checking their vibe.
Okay, so you know how to make small talk once you arrive. But how did you even get to the party in the first place?
Let's rewind the tape a bit, because according to our guide, making a good impression actually starts way before you even leave your house.
Oh, absolutely.
Navigating invitations is this crucial area where etiquette can basically make or break a budding friendship before it even starts.
Yeah, and accepting an invitation is pretty straightforward. You just say, I'd love to come, thanks for inviting me. But the guide also notes that it is highly polite to ask things like, what time should I arrive? And should I bring anything?
Like offering food or drinks?
Right. Offering to bring something is a universal sign of being a considerate guest, even if the host tells you, not to worry about it. It's the thought that counts. But what if you can't go? This is honestly my favorite part of the whole guide. Declining an invitation.
It's a tricky social maneuver.
It is. The text gives us phrases like, thank you for the invite, but I can't make it this time, and maybe next time. But the absolute best one is, I'd love to, but I already have plans.
It's a classic.
I was reading this and just marveling at the pure convenience of the word plans. Because, plans is so beautifully vague.
It really is.
Plans could literally mean, I plan to put on my most comfortable pajamas, order a massive pizza, and watch 6 hours of television completely alone on my couch. But it sounds so official. It is the perfect, polite white lie.
It really is, and if you look at the psychological cushion that phrase provides, it's huge. English etiquette, particularly in social settings, relies heavily on softening rejection.
Softening the blow.
Exactly. If you just said, no, I don't want to come to your party because I want to watch TV, it would be considered incredibly rude, even if it's the absolute truth.
Yeah, it feels like a rejection of the person, not just the event. It's way too harsh.
Right. So by saying, I already have plans, or adding something like maybe next time, you are actively protecting the host's feelings. You are communicating that you value the relationship and you value the invitation, even if you are physically unavailable. It preserves the social harmony.
Speaking of harmony, there is one rule in this section that the guide treats with, like absolute life or death seriousness, the RSVP.
Oh, yes. The RSVP.
The guide explains that RSVP is a French phrase, répondez s'il vous plaît, which simply means, please respond. And the rule is, if you see RSVP on an invitation, you must tell the host if you are coming or not. No exceptions.
This actually raises a really interesting contrast in English social rules.
How so?
Well, on one hand, the language can be very relaxed, very focused on making people comfortable with polite white lies and casual weather talk. But on the other hand, ignoring an RSVP is considered a major breach of etiquette.
Like an unforgivable sin.
Basically, because it causes actual logistical stress for the host regarding food, seating, and space. The rule is strict. Always respond.
Okay, so let's say your polite white lie didn't work. You RSVP'd yes, and you actually have to go to the party now. Let's talk about the exact moment you walk through the front door. The guide gets incredibly specific here about the unspoken physical rules and the cultural rituals of arriving.
It does. And let's look at punctuality first. The concept of being on time varies wildly around the world. In some cultures, arriving an hour after the stated start time is completely expected, and arriving on the dot would actually catch the host off guard.
Right, but the guide says that in many Western and English-speaking cultures, arriving on time means a very specific tiny window. If you are invited to a home for 7:00 p.m., you should aim to arrive at exactly 7:00 p.m., or maybe 7:05 p.m.
Not 6:45 p.m.?
And definitely not 8:00 p.m.
Right.
If you arrive early, the host is probably still, vacuuming the rug or in the shower, and you will cause an absolute panic.
Yes, arriving early is almost worse than arriving late in a lot of scenarios. And then there is the physical space. The text advises that people usually stay about 1 arm's length away from each other while talking.
1 arm's length.
Yeah, that invisible bubble of personal space is deeply ingrained in the culture. If you step closer than an arm's length, it feels aggressive or overly intimate.
Too close for comfort.
Exactly. But if you stand further away, it feels cold or disinterested. 1 arm's length is the golden mean of friendly socializing.
Okay, so you are standing exactly 1 arm's length away. You've arrived exactly at 7:05 p.m. And now it's time for the gift exchange. The guide covers giving and receiving gifts, like for a birthday or maybe a housewarming. Giving is easy. You just say, this is for you. I hope you like it. Or it's just a small something.
Very humble phrasing.
Very humble, but the receiving part.
Yeah.
The guide says a polite way to receive a gift is to say, you shouldn't have. And then you follow it up with, thank you so much. That's exactly what I wanted.
Right.
I just find the phrase you shouldn't have absolutely hilarious.
Really? Why does that stand out to you so much?
Because why do English speakers pretend they don't want the gift when someone hands it to them? Like the person bought it, wrapped it, handed it to you, and your very first verbal response is to tell them they made a mistake and shouldn't have done it. Isn't that technically lying?
Yeah.
You definitely want the gift.
I mean, literally, yes, it sounds like a rejection, but it highlights a very specific cultural ritual of modesty. When you say, you shouldn't have, you aren't actually telling them to take the gift back to the store.
Right, you're keeping it.
Of course you are. You are acknowledging the giver's generosity and their effort. You are essentially saying, your presence here is enough. You didn't need to spend your hard-earned money on me.
It's a performance of humility, basically.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture we've been painting, the strict 7.0 to 7.05 arrival window, the strict 1 arm's length distance, and this ritual of modesty when receiving a gift, you start to really see the hidden machinery of English etiquette.
It's all connected.
It is. It is a highly delicate dance of showing warmth and closeness while simultaneously strictly respecting boundaries and personal space. You are showing you care, but you are deliberately not imposing on the other person.
Showing warmth, but not imposing.
Right.
I like that. And once you're inside, the host will do their part to show warmth by saying, make yourself at home. And your job as the guest is to say, thank you for having me. And, oh, this is a big one in the guide. Always compliment the food.
Always.
The food is delicious.
Yes.
Even if it's just okay. Even if the chicken is completely dry, you compliment the food to preserve that social harmony.
So let's imagine you've done everything right. You complimented the dry chicken. You stayed a perfect arm's length away. But unfortunately, we are all human. Mistakes happen. You might bump into someone, or you might realize you need a favor. Navigating social turbulence requires a specific set of tools for apologies and requests.
Yeah, the guide gives us the standard apologies like, I'm sorry for being late, or I'm so sorry I forgot to call you. Or if you want to be a bit more formal, you can just say, my apologies.
And if someone apologizes to you, you release the tension by saying, no problem, it's okay, or don't worry about it. Very straightforward.
But the requests. Oh man, the requests are where the language gets incredibly nuanced.
It really does. The guide lists polite requests like, would you mind helping me with this? Or could you do me a favor?
But the ultimate polite request, the one the guide really highlights is, I was wondering if I could borrow your umbrella. I just marvel at this phrase. I was wondering if I could. Why use so many words just to ask for a piece of waterproof fabric?
He'd allowed the buildup.
It sounds like a cat slowly creeping up to a new object, carefully reaching a paw out, ready to sprint away at the slightest noise. You were being so hesitant.
It is remarkably wordy. But let's break down the actual mechanics of why this phrasing is so effective. By adding, I was wondering if, you instantly soften the demand. If you just say, give me your umbrella, obviously it's a command. It threatens the other person's autonomy.
Right, it's too aggressive.
Even, can I borrow your umbrella? Can feel a bit direct in certain polite company.
It's softening again. Just like, I have plans. We are constantly softening things.
Yes. I was wondering if I could frames the request as a mere thought that just happened across your mind. And look at the verb tense. I was wondering. Putting it in the past continuous tense creates distance. It turns a command into a gentle option.
That's wild.
It makes the other person feel like giving you the umbrella is entirely their own idea, and they have complete freedom to say no without any awkwardness.
It's almost like linguistic magic. You're getting what you want by pretending you barely even care if you get it. You are preserving the other person's freedom of choice.
Precisely.
And the guide also covers the highlights, like when things go right, saying, congratulations, or congrats on your new job, happy anniversary, or for achievements, well done, and good job. So we have the apologies, the requests, the congrats. We have the foundational survival phrases down.
And this is where we elevate from merely surviving a social situation to actually sounding like a native speaker. We transition into the use of idioms to add some real color to the vocabulary.
Oh, the idioms are great. The guide gives us 3 fantastic ones. First, break the ice, which means to do or say something to make people feel more relaxed. Like, I told a joke to break the ice at the meeting.
Then there is tie the knot, which means to get married, like Jack and Lillian are tying the knot next summer.
And my personal favorite, a social butterfly. Someone who is very friendly and likes to talk to a lot of different people.
How do you picture a social butterfly actually operating at a party?
Oh, I can just perfectly imagine someone fluttering around the living room, a drink in one hand, dropping idioms left and right, completely working the room. They never stay in one conversation too long. They land on a flower, chat for a minute, and just flutter away to the next group.
That's exactly it. And there is a serious pedagogical reason why idioms like this are so crucial for intermediate learners like you listening right now. It's not just to sound cool or impressive to your friends. It fundamentally changes how you process the language.
How so?
Well, phrases like break the ice or social butterfly pack highly complex social dynamics into highly visual, easily memorable metaphors.
Oh, I see. You can physically picture thick ice cracking under the weight of a joke. You can picture a butterfly moving quickly from group to group.
Exactly. Mastering these idioms is the bridge between translating words rigidly in your head, one by one, and truly feeling the language natively. It allows your brain to bypass the dictionary and go straight to the imagery.
It brings the language to life. It takes it from black and white to full color. And to help the listener put all this together, the guide offers this ultimate practice challenge. It blends the icebreakers, the apologies, and the gratitude all into one seamless flow. Let's do the practice run.
Let's hear it.
Imagine you were at the party. You step up exactly one arm's length away, and you say, "Hi, my name is Amy. Nice to meet you. What do you like to do on weekends?" "I'm sorry, I didn't see your message earlier. Thank you for the invite. I really appreciate it."
That is a masterclass in social English right there. It has the greeting, the small talk pivot, a polite apology, and a gracious thank you, all wrapped into one.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Let's quickly recap this incredible journey through the source materials. You are no longer going to freeze at the snack table. You are now fully equipped to gracefully RSVP to an invitation, using a polite white lie if absolutely necessary. You know to arrive right in that sweet spot around 7:05 p.m. You know to stand a comfortable arm's length away.
You know how to casually comment on the weather to establish a shared reality without actually caring about the forecast at all.
You know how to accept a gift while modestly claiming you shouldn't have. And you know how to seamlessly ask for a favor, using the deeply hesitant cat creaking up on a toy phrasing of, "I was wondering if..."
They've got it all.
This deep dive was designed specifically to give you confidence. The next time you step into an English-speaking social setting, you truly don't need to panic. You have the exact scripts ready to go. You finally have the recipe to bake the cake.
The ingredients are finally working together.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Something to explore on your own that builds on all these fascinating cultural rules we've discussed today. We've spent this entire time unpacking how English etiquette relies heavily on subtle physical cues, like standing one arm's length away and carefully softening our language to protect everyone's autonomy and feelings.
Yes, the delicate dance of not imposing.
Right. So if our traditional language and etiquette are perfectly designed to soften requests and protect boundaries in person, how is our modern world of digital communication and rapid-fire texting completely destroying these traditional English boundaries?
Oh, that's a great point.
When you send a one-word text message, you strip away the "I was wondering if." You completely strip away the tone, the posture, the arm's length distance. Think about that tension, how technology might be rapidly rewriting the very rules of politeness we just learned the next time you send a quick text asking for a favor.
A very fascinating modern dilemma to consider.
Until next time, keep practicing those survival skills.